All right, so sorry about what happened. So as I was saying, with the third step, we are looking at including our variable expenses. So I explained that the variable expenses are the expenses that are directly related to the sales volume. Okay, so if your sales volume increase for a period of time, those variable costs are also going to increase. And should they decrease, those variable costs are also going to decrease. So for instance, delivery charges, if you are engaged, let's say after producing the service, you deliver them to your customers, okay, and then probably you cater for the delivery charges, it's going to increase anytime you have a lot of sales. So these are the kind of expenses I'm talking about, or these are the kind of costs I'm talking about, right? So right now we've looked at telling our income sources, we've looked at um, determining our fixed costs, we've looked at determining our variable expenses. Now let's look at the last two steps. Okay, so please do also know that aside your variable cost and aside your fixed cost, there are costs that can be spent like on a one-time basis. Okay, there are certain costs that can come up just for the period of time because of something that you're going to do. So we can term these costs as one-time spend or one-time cost. So you now sit down, okay, I'm budgeting for the next 6 months. What, or let's even use 2 months because of the kind of business that we are running now. Let's just use 2 months, okay? So I'm budgeting for the next 2 months. Within the next 2 months, what are some of the costs that I'm going to incur on a one-time basis? Maybe you're just going to have a retreat, you're going to engage in a short course, you're going to develop yourself personally because of the organization. So what are some of the one-time costs that you're going to incur? You need to bring these things because the thing is that after you have prepared your budget, if you don't include these one-time spends and then you prepare your budget and now you approve your budget, spending outside it becomes very difficult. But then there can be a very important cause that you feel like, hey, this course, should I go in and enroll? It's going to really, really improve my business. Okay. But then you realize that it wasn't catered for in your budget. It becomes a problem because when you spend, you're probably eating into another thing's funds. You're probably overspending or probably creating some kind of problems for yourself because of the amount of money that you budgeted. So it's important that we sit down and think through what are some of the costs that may come up unexpectedly. Let's say you might need to buy a certain item, a certain tool to replace a broken one or a spoiled one. You might need to go on a retreat. You might need to have enroll in a short course. So let's remember that as we are determining our fixed and variable costs, we need to factor in some one or two one-time expenditures or one-time expenses. So when they come up, we don't find ourselves wanting. And then the last thing is that we now put all these things together. Now you put all your costs after you have separated or differentiated your costs. You have your fixed cost, you have your variable cost, you have your one-time spends. You now put all these things together with your income, and then you have your budgeted net income. Now let's look at a template that I created. So this is, I believe we can all see. So this is a budget template for a startup. Okay, so Amoeba GH. Okay, so she's into sewing of clothes. She sews. So in a month, she's just done her budget for April. She's estimating that putting all her income sources together, she should be earning about 3,000 cedis for the month. That is based on her organization, based on what she does. So we need to analyze or assess ourselves. Okay, for the last 2 months, for the last 3 months, this is the kind of money I've been getting and put there. So and we need to remember that you shouldn't put unrealistic figures there. If you know that with your business, the money that you can get in a month is 500 cedis, why not? It's your business and you're starting gradually. Definitely things will change. So you don't need to rush. You need to put realistic figures. Other than that, you won't be able to achieve your budget. For a long time, you won't be achieving your budget because the figures or the data in there is unrealistic. So kindly analyze yourself or assess yourself before you can put in the certain figures. So she's saying that her total income is 3,000 cedis. She sews for people. So maybe she can get a contract from a school to sew for the school, contract from a church to sew for the church, maybe the women's department or the men's fellowship, something, or a group of people will come together. okay, so please sew for us. So she has estimated her income or her revenue at the end of the month of April, and she get 3,000 cedis. Now she's done. She now needs to budget for her cost. So she said, okay, so her first cost, she has rented a place where she sews, and a month she pays 500 cedis for rent. This is just figures. So she puts in their rent. So before she does, this is the only fixed cost associated with her business. So as I said, every startup is a different one. We all have different expenses. So let's make sure that the expenses that we are looking at is in direct relation to the kind of business that we do. If you don't do delivery, don't add delivery. If you don't actually, maybe you don't really advertise, don't add advertise. Maybe you don't even rent a space, you're even using a part of your house, or even you have built a place on your compound. You don't need to add rent. So we need to be realistic with the kind of figures that we put in there. So we come to a variable cost. Okay, so she said advertising cost. So if the volume of, as I said, variable cost is in direct relation with the sales volume. So if she wants to sell a lot or per the budget that she has prepared, she has set high targets for her revenue. She has to really advertise a lot. So that's the variable cost. Advertising costs 100 cedis. Then delivery charges. After sewing, she packages it and she sends it to a delivery person. And probably it's part of the cost that she's charging you. So she has to pay the delivery person. So a month, she's estimating that she should spend 26 on delivery. Now utilities, we can have electricity, we can have water bills, depending on where we are situated. Okay, so all these forms, utilities. She can even add communication expenses to her. She's maybe calling customers, sending, sometimes because she sews, she has to send pictures of the clothes she's sewn to them on phone, internet charges and all those things. So all these things are variable costs. So she has added them. Then one-time cost. Okay, she wants to enroll in a course that will help her develop her career with sewing. Or maybe she feels that if I enroll in this course, it's going to help me with my personal development with my customers. It's going to help the branding of my organization, branding, anything. So she is saying that with her one-time course, it is what? Personal development. So it could be her branding, it could be a course to improve on how she relates with her customers, anything. So she has put there 400. So she's saying that she's not going to spend more than 400 cedis on any kind of training of that sort regarding her personal development. So at the end of the month, her budgeted total expenses is 1,005. Her expected revenue is 3,000. So her budgeted net income, that's after subtracting all her expenses, it's now 1,005. Great. So that is Amoeba GH for you. She is into sewing. So that's it. So that's about. So if Amoeba wants to spend, she has a budget. Probably she works with people. She has, let's say, 2 apprentices. When they are requesting for funds to, let's say, oh, there's no electricity or something, she knows that she has budgeted 300 cedis. So as she's buying electricity for the month of April, she shouldn't exceed 300. If maybe by a certain means, maybe because of something, she exceeds, in her report, she's going to see how or why she exceeded so that she can tackle that issue in her next budget. Is that all right? Great. So I was talking about a variance report. So as you can see the budget, we can create a column by the amount. So at the end of the period, when we are evaluating ourselves, then we now calculate the variances. Okay, revenue, we budgeted 3,000, but we received 2,500. So there is a variance of 500. We really receive 500 cedis. Then we come to the rent. Rent is fixed, so we know that, okay, she's paying this. Then advertising costs. Probably she had to do more advertisements, okay, so she could get more sales in order to meet the revenue. So she realized that she spent more than the 100 cedis. Maybe she spent 200 cedis. So her variance is going to be the 200, that's the actual amount that she spent, less the budgeted, that's the 100 cedis. And that gives her an overspending of 100 cedis. So if your actual spending is more than the budgeted, it's called overspending. If the actual spending that you spend is less than the budgeted, it's called underspending. So when you finish, then you can create a report for yourself. So that's it. Now, the last thing you're looking at for today is that we've said good things about budget, but then let's have it in mind that there are certain limitations with budget preparations. Okay, now let's look at 4 of them and see how we can tackle them so that if in preparing our budget we face these kind of challenges, we can be able to deal with them. Is that all right? Uh-huh. Budgeting is not an easy thing. For instance, especially when you are now starting from the scratch, it could be difficult. And also when you don't have past records of all the transactions that has occurred in your organization, it's going to be difficult because you can't really remember the amount of money you received because of how you spent in your organization. Okay, so let's look at some of these limitations and see how we can best go about them. All right, so the first one is that budgets are only as good as the data being used to create them. Inaccurate or unreasonable assumptions can quickly make a budget unrealistic. So as I said, the budget becomes a good budget based on the kind of data that you feed it with. So if you make all your estimations unrealistic, you know that with what you do, the maximum income you can get is 3,000. But if you want to put there 5,000, your rent is okay. Rent is fixed, so 500. Advertising cost, let's say 300. Delivery charges, 400. Unrealistic. Another day, you realize that you have overspent a lot, and you'll be wondering, how am I incurring these expenses? Okay, so it makes the budget quite unrealistic. If you don't put the right data there, you might not get the right data, but at least there has to be a range. You know your business, you know for some time now what you have been doing. So there has to be a range. There has to be a range of what you do so that you can actually make realistic but so a budget that you can actually work with, so that at the end of the month you can now have the motivation of creating a budget. But if you create an unrealistic budget, trust me, the next month you find it difficult in creating another because you feel that you were not able to achieve your goals. Meanwhile, the problem wasn't with your business, it was with the kind of data that you fed into your budget. All right, so let's try as much as possible to really analyze or assess the kind of transactions that are going on in our business and then try to budget accordingly. Okay, so budgets need to be changed as circumstances change. Whoever thought COVID-19 would cause all these trouble, especially those of us in Accra that is a partial lockdown. Okay, you can't really move out, you can't do things, and maybe pay your business. It actually needs you to be on the field. Okay, so right now COVID-19 has changed a lot of things. So in that sense, you will need to change your budget because things have changed. Maybe you put internet and communication charges to be 300, but you realize that as you started staying home to work from home, it has increased. Your internet charges has increased, communication has increased because of the kind of work you are doing because of how you are working from home. Okay, so budgets need to be changed as circumstances change. With this COVID-19 thing, assume you have a budget, you need to go back to your budget and then see how you can amend your budget to suit the current situation. And then also the third is that budget can sometimes be a time-consuming process. It will be time-consuming when you don't have past data. I remember I had to prepare a budget for my team this month. It was quite simple to prepare because I just went back and looked at the previous month's budget and then made some adjustments. That was all. But in the case where you are now starting afresh, it will be time consuming because you have to sit down, think through, analyze, identify the various expenses. Okay, sit down. Okay, in a month, these are the things I do. These are the kind of expenses that I need to incur. Please, do you understand? So budgets can be time consuming because sometimes you create a budget and you change it, you do things based on things that come in. So you create a budget, as about to approve or finalize it, then things will come to mind. Okay, let me change it. So it can really be a time consuming process. So what will help us is that based on past data, we can easily make adjustments, and then sometimes we can decide to spend or dedicate one full day or one weekend to sit down and prepare the budget. If we allocate time, it will help us. But if we don't do that, it will really affect us. All right. And the last thing is that budgets can lead to inflexibility in decision making. Now, for instance, you made a budget and there's a critical issue that has come out. Okay, you need to purchase some 1 or 2 items, but you never foresaw this thing happening, so it wasn't budgeted. Now the question is, do I spend or do I not spend? Because you've told yourself that spending outside of the budget is a no-no for you. You're not going to do that. Okay, so it can lead to inflexibility in decision making. So it can make you sometimes when you prepare a budget, it can help. It can make you make certain decisions that probably you shouldn't have made. So you need to sit down and think through. Even though you have a budget and you have decided that you are going to go by your budget, you need to analyze the situation at hand. Is it very critical to the success of your organization? If it's going to have an input, it's going to have an effect, or it's critical to the success of your business, then you need to actually go ahead and spend on that particular thing. Aha. That other than that, if you decide to be rigid and say, okay, the budget is A and B, I'm not going to spend on C and D, then we're going to be rigid. It might really sometimes affect how you do things in your business. So it's important that even though things might come up, you need to really sit down, analyze the situation, think about it. Does it have an effect, an adverse effect on my business? Is it going to affect me? If I postpone it to the next month, will it have an effect? Sometimes too, with the issues that come up, when we postpone it, it might not affect our business. So you can sit down and then decide, okay, I'm going to postpone it. Then it can help you make an effective decision making. But if you don't really sit down to analyze the critical issue at hand and you just do anything based on the kind of budget you have prepared, it can really, really, really worry you. Okay, yeah. So these are some of the limitations that we can count Okay, so as I was saying, we are done with the class today, but I was just wrapping up with the limitations on the budget. So we need to be very realistic when we are feeding our our budget with the kind of data that we put in. We need to be very realistic. We can't just be making some kind of unreasonable assumptions based on your organization. Assess yourself and make very good and realistic data or decisions. Okay, so we also need to realize that budgets need to be changed as circumstances change. COVID-19 is a clear example. Okay, so if you have a budget, especially when your budget requires you to be on the field, you need to adjust your budget. Not necessarily changing the whole thing, but then making some adjustments to the budget so that it can best fit the situation. And then also, budgeting can be time consuming. We need to get the patience and the time to do that. So we can dedicate a full day or a weekend to prepare our budget. And then also, budgets can also lead to inflexibility in decision making. It can make you rigid because you realize that some of the items that some of the things that you budgeted for or some of the things that are coming up, they were not budgeted for. So it makes it very, very difficult for you to go by these decisions or for you to pay for these kind of expenses. I believe that this morning we have learned a lot from the budgeting class, and then from now onwards, we are all going to prepare budgets for our startups. Some of us have been doing it. That's very good. But if we haven't been doing it, let's use the month of April as a trial. Okay, so we can start creating a budget for the month of May with the hope that by that time, probably COVID-19 would have been over, or maybe come to a certain stage where we can actually go out. Okay, so we can just use the following months coming, May, June, July, to prepare a budget, a trial budget, and see how things are going to work. All right, so in the meantime, I'll be sending the summary notes to you so that you can always, and because of the interruptions that we had so that we can be abreast with everything that went on today. Then also I'll bring in a third assignment. This is very practical based on organizations. This is very practical. So I think this one everyone should be able to, and it's quite simple. So everyone should be able to come in. When you think of a problem, you can reach out to me so that I can help you. All right, so thank you very much for coming. Please, do you have any questions? Please, are there any questions that someone wants to ask me? Kindly let me know. If there are any questions, if you have questions, kindly let me know. Is everyone okay? Okay, so if probably people are not talking, it means that they are okay. All right, so I believe everyone is okay. Or there are questions that you want me to address or something. Right, so if there are no...
I am okay.
Okay. Frederick, please, do you have any question? Okay. So please, if there are no questions...
No, I am okay. I am okay, thank you.
All right. So thank you. So if there are no questions, we'll call it a day. So please be expecting the summary notes today and then the third assignment. For those who sent in the assignments, I'm still reviewing them, I'm still going through them and making some changes. So I'll get back to you. As I said, it will be a personal feedback. So I'll reach out to you privately and then give you a feedback on your assignment. Thank you very much for making it a point today. Hopefully tomorrow we are going to learn about internal controls, how effectively and efficiently we can manage our organizations. Internal controls is another important tool when it comes to managing our startups. Okay, so tomorrow we're going to look at how we can effectively and efficiently manage our startups. So we're going to look at internal controls for startups. So make it a point at 10 a.m. tomorrow to join us. Have a blessed day, everyone. Thank you. Bye.